Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything coming to you from the 1st Royal Aerospace Squadron, and what we're going to be talking about today is Star Marine, which is very poetic because the 1st Royal Aerospace Squadron is a Marine Aerospace Squadron. Okay, so what I'm going to talk to you about today is what I know of the status of the FPS module and what should be included in it as far as I know. Okay. And believe it or not, it does seem to be shaping up. Each week they show off a little bit more of the FPS module, showing that it's coming together gradually, but there are still a few blockers that are keeping it from being presented to the public, you and me, in the fact that netcode. They can't get the netcode correct. I'm sure they can play it. They can play it, but there's certain things about the netcode that's keeping it from allowing larger groups. Also, optimization, speed. Of course, they're going to be able to play in-house with their LAN and things like that. But over the internet, it might be a little bit more complicated. So they've got to get that worked out. And then the next thing, once that blocker gets fixed and they're able to figure out how to optimize that netcode, what it's going to do, it's going to help the entire game as a whole, because FPS will be in every aspect of the game. Even while you're flying, you're in first person. And then, like if you're on board a ship in some kind of pirate activity, you have first-person combat. When you're on planet and you're walking around shopping, guess what? You're in first person. So it's going to help the entire game to get this netcode figured out. There seems to be quite a few selections of weapons. Not as many as I would like, to be honest. But there are quite a few, and I'm happy that they're not just putting in like one rifle or one laser or something like that. No, they're actually putting in a list of weapons. You have like an electric shotgun, you have a regular shotgun, you have assault rifles, sniper rifles, you have laser rifles. It looks like there's going to be a microwave gun, and these are just to name a few. Also, there is going to be 6 armor types. There will be eventually more armor types, because this is just to get the game out into our hands. And they're classing them in a general class. Light, medium, and heavy. And then UEE Marine, and then the other one would be like Pirate Bandit type. So that makes 6. And each one will be slightly different than the other, in that the Heavy Bandit will be different than the Heavy UEE in its capabilities. The armors allow for a certain amount of weapons to be carried. I think the Heavy can have like 2 primary guns. I don't mean shooting them, I mean just carrying them. Like he has an extra weapon hardpoint on his body that he can actually attach the second weapon. And then maybe a light weapon, and then maybe a number of grenades, and each one will carry a different number of those items. Also, they will provide different amount of protective cover for you, protective armor, I should say, for you, and then they will also inhibit your stamina and your speed via the weight. So when you start, if you've got light armor, you're not going to be, I mean, this is a no-brainer. You're going to take damage a lot easier because opponents' weapons or friendlies are going to be able to penetrate your armor easier, but you're going to be able to get around quicker and you're not going to tire out as fast. Okay. Now, they're reworking the New Horizons map, is what I understand, because it was in too much of a circle, I think. It was an oval shape, and with some connecting hallways or something. And there's like a lower area and an upper area, but that didn't really matter because it was just in a circle. So I think they're reworking that to get more additional like offshoots, different paths to get to the objectives and things like that, because they said the current maps are not competitive enough, and they're not diverse enough. So that's going to make for a more enjoyable and competitive experience, and I'm looking forward to that. Let's see in the new map. I mean, we've seen videos of the old map, but I'd like to see the new map layout. They're also adding more grenade types, because as of like a couple of months ago, they just had 2 grenades, like the concussion grenade, which they're calling the force grenade or something like that, which blows out you know, like a concussive force, which isn't, I mean, it is damaging to someone, but in 0G it's even more impacting because it pushes you away. And they mentioned if somebody's like in 0G but they're behind cover, let's say, like there's a box between you and them, you could throw a concussive grenade. They're calling it a force grenade, but you throw a concussive grenade behind that cover or in front of the cover or whatever, and when the concussive grenade goes off, it's going to blow the cover out of the way, it's going to blow them out of the way, giving you a clear shot to kill them. I think that's kind of like a you have your buddy throw the grenade while you're sitting there with a sniper rifle ready to take them out, or maybe whatever, however you guys, however it works. That sounds like it'd be an enjoyable, a different, unique kind of game experience. All right, and I mentioned earlier they will have a stamina system. They put a post out about the stamina system and breathing. As you've probably already seen in some videos, the breath will cause your head to sway. Okay, as you're breathing. I don't mean that hard, you know, but as you're breathing, your head's going to go up and down and up and down, and that means the gun sights are going to go up and down, up and down. And if you are in, like, let's say, heavy armor, and you just ran all the way across the map, you probably are going to breathing like this. So when you're trying to get that perfect sniper shot, you're probably not going to get it. Because the crosshairs are going to be moving all over the place. Now, you'll also have the ability to hold your breath. And this is something that real shooters of real weapons do. You breathe normally, right? And then at the top of your breath, there is a split second that there's no bobbing or swaying, because you're breathing in, and you notice there's a pause before you breathe out, right? Okay, well, during that pause is when you should squeeze the trigger. And I say squeeze and not pull, because a lot of people relate pull with jerk, and what that does is it throws your shot off. So you gently squeeze the trigger, right? And that's not that important in Star Citizen, because you're not actually gently squeezing your mouse button. But the game's going to simulate it. And so it wants you to fire during the pause of your breath. Now, you will also be able to artificially pause your breath, hold your breath, to be able to get that sway to stop also. And they said, you know, if you constantly are holding your breath, of course you're going to pass out or whatever, and that's all cool. I'm glad they worked all that in there. And it'll affect your stamina if you hold your breath too much. Okay, yeah, they're using a physical-based damage system, very similar to the ships currently, well, as they're going to develop for the ships. They have some ships that have the physically damage system, but not all of them. But they're gradually working on getting them all converted over to that. So your armor that's on your body, it doesn't have like hit points or an added value to your hit points. Every body location is going to have its own damage values, right? And the armor on those areas will cover that, and it will be a certain material, and that certain material will have different penetrating of parameters and things like that built into the code. So when you're shot in the arm, your arm is what's going to be damaged, and your arm is what's not going to be able to be used, or what have you, or that's where the blood's going to be coming out, or what have you. When the medic approaches you to apply the med gel on your arm or your leg or whatever, they will actually be able to see where the hit is, and that's where they'll be able to put the medical aid. Because in like previous games, a lot of first-person shooters, you'll shoot somebody, they'll have 20 hit points, and now they have 19 hit points, and a medic runs over to you and plays with like a little medical kit or a bandage like 2 feet above your head, you know, while you're laying there. He's doing this like animation that has nothing to do with your wound, and then all of a sudden now you're back up to 20 hit points. No, it's that's not the way it is in Star Marine or Star Citizen. You will take damage to the arm. The arm is what's going to be useless. If someone comes up to apply medical attention, they have to apply it to your arm. Medical kits can only do so much to replace your lost hit points / whatever it's called, blood, whatever, and it'll bring you back up to a level under where you started. And then the next time you get hit in the arm, if they hit you with a med kit, it comes back up a little bit less than that. And eventually you'll get to a point where you'll have so many bullet holes in your arm that the medic can't put bandages on top of bandages. So that'll be pretty cool. But then you'll be able to, like in the persistent universe, you'll be able to go into a hospital or a more advanced medical location, and you'll be able to be healed back up to full strength. Okay, the next one is there's going to be movable objects in the game, on the maps. So when you get to a certain location, if you want to move a box or a couple of boxes, stack a couple of boxes using grabby hands, you can do that and create your own cover. I think that's pretty darn cool. And also the maps, from what my understanding is, they're geared towards 8 versus 8 right now. But I think they want to expand it, of course, because 8v8 is not very much in a persistent universe. So, but just to get started, because of the netcode and everything, I think they're aiming for 8 versus 8 right now. And yeah, as the game gets optimized, they're going to add a lot more. I think the next step would be 16 versus 16. But just imagine let's say a Bengal carrier with a couple of 100 people on board. You can't have just 8v8 matches. You're going to have 50v50 or something, right? Okay. Also, they just announced there's going to be a 3rd game mode. I know there's going to be a lot more than 3, but right now, initially, when it releases, there will be 3 game modes. You have the head-to-head or team versus team, the 8v8 match. That's going to be on Gold Horizons. You also have the Saddle Ball. That's basically 0G rugby. And you also have the new form is Free Roam, which it's like Free Flight. You can use it to train, explore the maps, testing your weapons, things like that. Your squadrons or your guilds, clans, organizations, they can all like to practice and things like that on Free Roam. I'm glad they've added that. There's only 2 maps right now, the Gold Horizon and the Arena. The Gold Horizon is the space station that you're fighting over, and the Arena is the Saddle Ball Arena, like a football arena or rugby arena in 0G in space. Okay, but there's going to be a lot more maps to come. I know Arena Commander only has 2 and has only had 2 forever, but then they added the racing tracks, right? What they need to maybe do is convert those racing tracks into dogfighting arenas. That would be cool. And then another thing, they could turn some of these battle maps into racing arenas. I think it would be a lot easier to just throw in a bunch of rings in the asteroids of, let's say, Broken Moon or something, than it would be to create a whole new map. You know, so at least they would give us a little bit more variety there. That's just my suggestion if you're watching. And dogfighting around the racetracks would be kind of cool. I think, you know. I mean, it would just be a variety. It'd just give you something different. Because right now, everything's getting kind of, to be honest, for me, it was getting stale. And I'm kind of waiting for Arena Commander. Because when I pledged for Star Citizen, I wanted the whole package all at once. You know what I mean? I'm looking forward to the first-person shooter to that's going to really reinvigorate me for Star Citizen. Okay, what else? Oh yeah, I was talking about maps, right? The 2 maps, Gold Horizon and Arena, but I've heard a rumor that the Javelin is going to be a map eventually. Also, on one of the objectives is going to be the gravity generator on the Gold Horizon map, and if it's captured, it can actually be turned off, basically turning the station into a 0G environment, so everybody's going to be floating around shooting everybody. Now they're working on a juke system. This juke system it's going to slow you Twitch reflex players down to realistic speeds. Like if you're moving, and let me try to explain it. If you're moving in one direction, and then you decide that you need to move in the other direction, because let's say you're running around a corner, and then all of a sudden you see this firing line waiting for you. It's going to take you a second to stop and then turn around and get back going the other direction. You don't just instantly like change direction based on how you push the button. You will be running forward. You will press the back arrow, let's say, and it will gradually slow you down depending on how fast you were moving. And then it will start you moving in the other direction. So like if you're just standing still somewhere and you need to start moving, it's going to take you a second to build up speed. I mean, it's only going to be a few seconds, but that will be very very realistic, and I think that's pretty cool. All right, now in closing, the FPS should be awesome. It should be great. It's going to bring multi-crew ships closer to a reality. It's going to bring more people into the game. It's going to give more variety to backers like myself who are getting burnt out with just testing Arena Commander over and over and having it change all the time, which that's what I signed up for, but it still doesn't mean I wasn't getting burnt out. So, all right. Well, this was Mr. Everything, and I'll see you in the verse.